The Vavam at base will begin Vavam at Aleph, 6 lines from the bottom of the 2 dots. How are you ma'arav a road, a public road that runs through the Rishus Harabim? On one end you make it Surah Pesach, a door frame, a lintel with 2 mezuzahs, and at the other end, a lechir kaira. So if you have, see, rows of houses and a street passing through the middle, if it has the characteristics of Rishus Harabim, it's 16 amas wide, and according to some Rishonim that require 600,000 people passing through it, that's what you have. On one end of it, you make it Surah Pesach, and at the other end, you make a lechir kaira. That's what the Tanakhama says. Hananya Mary says no, he argues. You need 2 doors, not just doorways, and not a lechir kaira. You need a door on one end and a door on the other end. And it has to be closed all the time, except from when you go through it and you leave. Otherwise, the doors have to be closed at all times. Beis Hill says, no, you don't need 2 doors. You have on one end a door, and on the other end is a lechir kaira. You don't need 2 doors, you need one. The other end is only a lechir kaira. So that's why Hananya learns. But in any event, can you be ma'arav Rishus Harabim? Can you have a Rishus Harabim and consider it to be enclosed that people can carry in it? Well, Tanya, yes, Rav Yehuda says that the first part of the ratio of what he said was that if there's an overpass passing over the Rishus Harabim, people can carry underneath it. And yes, Rav Yehuda says even more than that. If he had a person at 2 houses, Rishus Harabim on the other opposite sides of the Rishus Harabim, so he said, Rav Yehuda holds that 2 mechitzas are deraisa. The midaraisa, once you have 2 mechitzas, is considered to be a closed area. So therefore, he says, if you have houses on 2 ends of the Rishus Harabim, if you have 2 houses, the walls of the houses are mechitzas. So therefore, they're mechitzas. Midaraisa, that's considered enclosed. Then you only need on either one end, you put a lechi on one end, another end. If this is opening to the street runs this way. So then on one end you need a lechi, another end a lechi, or a kaira on one end and a kaira on one end. That's how you can be married, because the 2 houses, the walls of the houses are mechitzas. So it's like 2 mechitzas, an enclosed area, midaraisa, that's considered enclosed. And therefore, you need either a lechi on one end or the other, one end and the other, or a kaira on one end and the other. That's what Rav Yehuda holds. The Chum said, it says Rav Yehuda, "Ein mar Rishus Harabim kach." That's not a way to enclose a Rishus Harabim. So you see that the Chacham holds you cannot be ma'arav a Rishus Harabim. So how are you telling me this machlokes between Tanakh and Hananya about me ma'arav a Rishus Harabim? The Chacham hold that you can't be ma'arav a Rishus Harabim. And maybe you'll say, no, that the Chum hold you could be ma'arav Rishus Harabim, and what they said was ein ma'arav Rishus Harabim bekach, meaning in this manner, bekach, in this manner you can't be ma'arav Rishus Harabim, but in another manner you can. So bekach u'deloy ma'arav. How about the law says ma'arav? But if you have doors, then you could be ma'arav. With doors it could be, meaning we don't mean 2 doors, meaning that in general terms, with doors, Rishus Harabim in general, the Rishus Harabim could be, you could be marvin with doors, meaning, and you only need 1 door, you need 1 door at one end. So meaning the Racham arguing Rav Yehuda saying, yes, I agree that you can be marvin Rishus Harabim, but not the way you're suggesting it. Not with a lechi mikan or kar mikan. You need, on one end, you need a door, and on the other end, a lechir kaira. So perhaps that's what they mean, and therefore it would be consistent with the way Hananya is learning. Gemara says no. Yerushalayim, the city of Yerushalayim, Ilmali also send in Ols Belila, if not for the fact that the doors, it had doors on each end the gates at each end of the city. If not for the fact that they were closed at night, we would consider Rishus Harabim. Now, even though it was a walled city, and it had doors, if not for the fact that the doors were closed at night, it would be considered Rishus Harabim. You'd be chayav for it. So it's only because it has doors which are closed at night, which are not doima to the derech in the midbar, to the traveling that the Klal Yisrael did in the midbar. But if not for that, it would be considered Rishus Harabim, and we would not consider it to be closed off, even though it had walls around it, and had to have, specifically because it had two doors and they were closed at night. Ula says as well, we see from the following, the streets of Mechuzah, so they had the streets of the Mechuzah had gates at the end of each end. They'll send in all this, not for the fact that the doors of the gates were closed. Similarly to Yerushalayim, they would be considered to be Rishus Harabim. So you see that you can't be ma'arav Rishus Harabim. It's always considered Rishus Harabim unless it has doors at both ends and that they're closed at night. So you can't, Beis Hillel, even according to Hananya, you don't need doors at both ends. You don't need two doors. So how can you say that that's the machlokes and that you can be ma'arav Rishus Harabim? You can't be ma'arav Rishus Harabim that way. Rishus Harabim, the Kuli Alma Rishus Harabim has to be enclosed. If it's an actual Rishus Harabim, you have to have either completely enclosed or it has to have two doors on each end of the entranceways, which are closed at night. Omer Vihuri says, we're not talking about a Rishus Harabim. This machlokes is not referring to an actual Rishus Harabim. This is what he means. How are you ma'arav the mevois, the side streets? How are you ma'arav the mevois that are open to a Rishus Harabim? They're mevois mefuloshes, as opposed to cases that we had before where it's a movi which is closed on three sides. This is a movi, you have chatzeros on each side. They're open on each end. On each end of it, it's opened into a Rishus Harabim. Now, it itself is not a Rishus Harabim, but it's just opened on each end to a Rishus Harabim. It doesn't have the characteristics of the Rishus Harabim, not the width, not in the Shishim Riboy. It's open to Rishus Harabim. How are you ma'arav that? Now, in the case of the movi that was sosum, that was closed on three sides, so we said before, there's a lechir kar, put a lechir kar on each end. Over here, it's open on both ends to Rishus Harabim. So how you do that? So the Tanakama on that, the Tanakama says, so then that Tanakama says on one end is a Tzuras of Pesach, on the other end is a lechir kar. And on that, and Hananya on that argues, and he says that you need, even according to Beis Hillel, you need a delos on one end and a lechir kar on the other end. So that's what we're referring to. Itma, Rav Amar El Tanakama. Rav says the halacha is like the Tanakama and the mavuz, and mefuloshes, or Rishus Harabim on both ends. It says it's only a Tzuras of Pesach on one end is required, and a lechir kar on the other end. Ushmuel Amar halach Hananya. But Shmuel says that no, the halach is like Hananya, and you need a door on one end and a lechir kar on the other end. In Boilahu, we have the following shayla Hananya live the Beis Hillel. According to Hananya live the Beis Hillel, that you need on one end a door. Tzorach Lilol or Ein Tzorach Lilol. Does the door have to be closed or can it be open? The fact that you have the door, is that enough, or it has to be actually closed? So Shmuel, let's bring a raya. Shmuel, Ein Tzorach Lilol. You don't have to close the door. You do not have to close the door. He said he had a maisa, an incident with himself. And Shmuel said you do not have to close the door. They asked the same child for Rabbanan. Tzorach linol ain't tzorach linol. Do you have to close the doors or not? He said, come and see the gates in the city of Nahado. The time on Alpalgaya Ba'afra, they were sunk halfway into the earth and in an open position. V'ayl v'nofik Mar Shmuel, and Mar Shmuel used to walk through the gates, v'lo yamar lo v'lo miri, and even though they were open, and Mar Shmuel did not object to it, and he did not tell the people that they can't carry there. So you see that the doors don't have to be closed. Amar Rav Kahana, no, Hanach megufas havai. They were into the earth. They were stuck in the sand, but they weren't in a wide open position. They were mostly closed. So they were considered to be like closed. So no, opposite. Over there, the position that they were stuck in, the position was that they were mostly closed. So it's considered closed. So you see, the doors have to be closed. He also Rav Nachman, Rav said, Amar Panu La Fraya. He said, clear away the sand that blocks the door and prevents you from closing it, clear away the sand. So Rav Nachman Sorach Lino. So should we say that Rav Nachman holds Sorach Lino, that the doors have to be closed, and that's why he said to clear away the sand? More said like came with the Uyas Nino Afal Pisha Ena Ninolas. No. Perhaps he holds that you do not have to close the door, but you have to be capable, the doors have to be capable of being closed. If they're stuck in the sand, you can't close them. So that's where he said, why he said that you have to clear away the sand. But they don't actually have to be closed. They have to be just capable of being closed. Hahu Mavi Akum Dahava Ben Hardo. There was a Mavi Akum in Hardo. Like we said before, we learned before about a Mavi Akum that was an L-shaped Mavi. So here, this discussion over here is in a Mavi that is in a Ches. It's a Ches-shaped Mavi. So if you have a Mavi, let's assume that this is a row of houses. But I'll open this for the moment just for illustration purposes. This is, assume that this is a Rishus Harabim. Over here, this is a Rishus Harabim. So the Mavi is in a Ches. There's an entrance from the Rishus Harabim. Then it goes around the bend. And there's another entrance or exit to the Rishus Harabim over here. So there is it's a Ches. You come in, you come around. These are houses that are open. There are houses that, I'll illustrate it this way. There are houses and Chatzeros that are open to, and if you can see the entranceway, that are open to the Mavoi. They have their entranceway, the openings to the Psochim. There's a Pesach here, there's a Pesach, it's open to the Mavoi. And the Mavoi at both ends is open to the Rishus Harabim. So these are the row over here, the wall over here. So it's closed on three sides, but it's open on these two ends. So as we learned before, the question is, do you consider this to be separate mavuos? And if that's the case, this is closed. It's only opened on one end, so it's a standard mavui. You can be matered with a lachi or a kaira. And it would be a typical mavi sasum that's only open on one end. Or do you say, no, we look at it as all one and it's open on both ends. And therefore you can't just be matered with a simple lechi or kaira on the ends. So that's the question. Do you say that you can have a lechi over here, a lechi over here, and that will be matered? Or do you say, no, we consider this to be open, it's open on two ends, and therefore you need to close it off on the bends. On the bends, you have to close it off. So, how Mavi Akim to have in the Hardah? There was a Mavi Akim that was in the Hardah. And they put it on themselves the churmas of both Rav and Shmuel. And they required that there would be doors, that at the bends over here, that there's a door here, there's a door here. They required doors over here. And therefore that closes this off from this. Therefore, this is considered a separate movi, separate, distinct from this. These are considered two separate mavois. Then you need a lachir kaira on the ends that are open to the Rishus Harabim. So they're machmir to consider this to be open, and therefore you have to close it off with doors on the bends. On the bends over here, you need doors. So the Masechet losses, they require doors. So what is the chumrah of Rav and the chumrah of Shmuel? Chumrah de Rav, the Omer Tarasa, Kimafulish. They were machmer like Rav, who says that this type of a mole is considered mafulish. We consider it open on two ends, and therefore you have to be masakin the bends. Well, if you're machmer like Rav, if you're going like Rav, but v'alma Rav halacha ketanakama. But Rav said the halacha is like Tanakama and not like Hananya, and therefore why do you need doors? According to Rav, you shouldn't require doors. You shouldn't need doors. That source of Pesach should be sufficient. You shouldn't require doors. So Moran says Kishmul. Yeah, but in that respect, as far as that machlek is Tanakama Hananya, they were also machmer like Shmuel. They paskened in that machlek like Shmuel, who holds like Hananya, and you need doors, not just a source of Pesach. You need losses. So Kishmul Damalok Hananya. Va'amar Shmuel Terosik is awesome. But if you go like Shmuel himself says that the movi that's akum is like a movi that's awesome. So you don't have to be masak in the bends, you just need a lachir kaira. So Mora says, on that, Kirab, Damar Taroskim are foolish. Yeah, but on that, as far as that goes, as far as that machlek is concerned, they were machman like Rab. And they said it's considered like a movi foolish, and you do have to be masakin the bends. So they were machmer on both ways. As far as the machlok is between Tanakama and Hananya, on that they paskin like Rav. And they paskin like Rav that where you have a movi that's foolish, when you have a movi that's open at both ends, it's not enough to have a source of Pesach, you have to have losses, you have to have doors. So therefore you said you have to have doors on the bed. As far as the machlok is whether a movi akum, this type of a movi, a bent movi, is considered sosum or foolish, on regarding that machlok is, so they paskin like Rav that is considered to be mefulish. It's considered to be foolish, and therefore you have to have you have to be musakin it. What kind of tikkun do you need? Well, since they paskin like Rav that it's teroskim and foolish, you have to be musakin it. What type of tikkun do you need? Regarding that, they paskin, they went like Shmuel, their paskin is like Hananya, and therefore it's not enough to have it surah of Pesach, you have to have actual doltush. Therefore they held that on this type of a movi, you need doors here, and doors here, and on the ends, Allah here, kaira, on the each end that's open to the Rishus Harabim. The next discussion of the Gemara is, Rekti Gemara, may have then Ketrei Chumrah. Well, you're doing two Chumras, can you paskin like going Chumrah from one Rav on one way and not like him on the other way? Well, Tana, we learn the Brayso, Lo'elam Halacha K'Beis Hillel, V'Aroyso Lasses K'Divrei Beis Shammai Oisa. The halacha is like Beis Hillel, but if you want to be machmer like Beis Shammai, you could. Or if you want to go like Beis Hillel, you could. The Gemara is going to address this point shortly. But mikula Beis Shammai, kula Beis Hillel. But if he wants to take the kulas of Beis Shammai and the kulas of Beis Hillel, he wants to take the kulas of each one of them. Rasha, he's considered to be a Rasha. And if he wants to take the chumas of both of them, the fool, he walks in the darkness, he doesn't know where he's going. So either you have to go with one authority and follow him with his kulas and his chumras, or the other one with his kulas or chumras. But you can't pick and choose, pick the chumras of one and the kulas of other. If you take just the kulas of each one, that's a rasha. You're not following any consistent opinion. You're just picking out kulas. Then he's a rasha. If he takes chumras of both, he's considered to be a ksil, a fool. So how is it that they paskin like the chumra of Rav and the chumra of Shmuel? The Gemara will see coming up, and on the next Amud is going to analyze this brisa and what it really means by can you possibly Beis Sham, Beis Hill, and when and how can you follow the opinions of one, the chumras of one, and the chumras of the other, or one authority only with both his chumras and kulas. That will be the subject of the discussion of the next Amud.